A very warm welcome to our weekly news magazine program, Bhutan This Week. I'm Sonam. Our top stories this week. His Majesty the King graced the closing ceremony of the third session of the Second Parliament. His Holiness the Khempo appoints Sonam from Nepal as the teacher of Triku Jigme Norbu Rinpoche, who is the reincarnation of Kujab Tsechu Rinpoche. And the National Council defers the pay raise, finalized by the National Assembly. His Majesty the King graced the closing ceremony of the third session of the Second Parliament last Friday. Also present were the members of the royal family and representatives from international organizations.
At the closing session, parliamentarians thanked His Majesty the King for the peace and happiness that the people and the country enjoy under the dynamic leadership of His Majesty the King. They also thanked His Majesty for strengthening the strong relations between Bhutan and India.
미왕 아다 림보치 초기 뒤다 디소 칼롭다 람텐 제자 잠다 덴시 나밀레 텐 템풍알 합 게캅다 게용 텔왈 합 푸기 센탑 델레 망쯔 링루기 시점 딘디베 시투 나밀로 카디가소 예시슈니 이
미왕 게신기 퉁거기 님루 다카숭기 마미 밍옴 딘기 ngelheda na chama matoba ge khablu thadam si tendi shumi delu thusewi seredang zente nami digi mise jensugi yang ngelele zemgobi peja subi neden bom chibe ngelen thopni imidilu ngache shungi honle samhinle debi cutting gasol kini seshini
ngachirege habdi dari sunsigi banaya kaki pinsum so 대화 쟁기 신금집에 센다 년라 잠링 타유메 바로 차비 유메디 갭 림진스기 우티다 람튼 상포 가딘레 텐티 이 제슈니 딜루 가딘 제든 핀디다데 명왕가샵기 우티다 람튼 상포 뒤준도 나신도 유메루 삼기 미차비기 가딘 가설 핀이
The Speaker of the National Assembly also expressed gratitude to His Majesty the King for gracing the opening and closing session of the Parliament.
Dugi kelin rignagi cheidam sane shungi tumigi toptangi chei nyoze da semkam tukze zeri lokchegi chei dugi sadang kim larchugi chei chusugi tumigi toptangi tinin chei su sungde nangte 개용 속들로 피디 시슈니 대다다우베 개용 속되기야 개용 속되기 튀는 제이당 담쿠 담진 튀는 제이니부 디 숭데 나신레 개용 속들로 나미디 숭데 십십에 나한테 록데라 개용 속들로 피디 시슈니 대마세 개용 속되기 산의 슝기 튀는 제이 개용 속도기 튀는 제입디 짜르기 된루 나한테 유미디 속도기 록데라 숭데 남다 된센 닥바치 셰참 주마 수블레 텐디 두기 사틴 쳔미 사센 추수베기 된센 갸바타르두 두갸보 초기 샵사 인진 피니 이시슈니
The third session of the Second Parliament concluded with members offering Tashimelam to His Majesty the King. Ishingadup, PBS News.
His Holiness the Khempo appointed Sonam as the teacher of Triku Jigme Norbu Rinpoche. Triku Jigme Norbu Rinpoche is the reincarnation of Kujab Tsechu Rinpoche. 47-year-old Sonam is from Nepal. He received Buddhist studies in Bhutan from a young age. He also studied at the Tango University of Buddhist Studies. Sonam has also studied under renowned Buddhist Lams and Rinpoches in the country, including His Holiness the Khempo and His Holiness J. Tizu Rinpoche. He has also undergone Losum Chosum, or the 3-year spiritual retreat. His Holiness the Khempo administered Tsewang, or blessings for long life, in Ha on the 24th of this month. The 15th Melam Chenno of Ha Dzongkhag, presided over by His Holiness the Khempo, concluded on Monday. Thousands from in and around Ha attended the Viglong Melam Chenmo. The National Council decided to defer the pay raise, finalized by the National Assembly. The chairperson of the National Council, Dasho Dr. Sonam tweeted, "The National Council has decided to abide by our recommendations on the pay revision report and defer our pay revision until measures for expenditure rationalization identified by the government are implemented and realized." Earlier, the National Council had expressed serious reservations over the proposed pay revision report of the government. They said the revision came at the wrong time, even as the World Bank and International Monetary Fund hinted that the country's economy was bad. The Druk Namrup Thokpa says the elected representatives are being self-centered, citing the recent pay hike as an example. DNT says it is disheartening to see elected representatives put their interest before that of the people. This, the party says, is a severe breach of trust between the elected representatives and the electorate. DNT warns this would have damaging implications on the health of the country's democracy. In a statement issued to the media, the party calls for the elected representatives to work in the greater interest of the nation and to serve the people selflessly. DNT is also urging the elected representatives to work towards strengthening the foundation of democracy through non-partisan politics and sustained engagement of Bhutanese citizens at all levels. Meanwhile, DNT officials said they will propose to the government to reconsider on the salary hike and the allowances.
Yes, we will definitely be lobbying. We will lobby with the parliamentarians and ask them to reconsider this. Although it has already been passed and it's going to be effective from July, but Namru Sopa will continue to lobby, and we can only hope that that in the long run that the country doesn't go into more difficult economic the situation of the economy doesn't dwindle faster.
The Anti-Corruption Commission's second strategy, the National Integrity and Anti-Corruption Strategy 2014 to 2018, was launched by the Prime Minister Tshering Tobgay. This strategy will focus on greatly reducing the number of corruption cases in the country. It is one of the development agendas now integrated into the 11th five-year plan.
The strategy aims to promote integrity and effective fight against corruption by the leaders by inculcating ethical behaviors through educational awareness programs. It also looks at promoting cooperation and partnership for collective alliance among people from all walks of life against the corruption. The systems to prevent and combat corruption will also be strengthened. The Prime Minister in his inaugural address said that corruption should be regarded as a disease and enemy. Lynchian urged all Bhutanese to render the full support in the shared aspiration of a corruption-free society. He also highlighted on the government's initial plans on curbing corruption.
런치기 익사날루 complaint cell se 익사 소소베라 년내 까니기 던들래 믹셀기 익사치 구투니 세슈니 complaint cell 날루 나저기 융기 토레베 라보들루 찰라남들루 다디날루 년내기 년카 두스 노와친 디난니레 년내날루 자마 또데스 노와친 뒤틀레라 런치기 익사날루 랍니 옆집에 탑시서도 세슈니 디나티니레 나저기 생계 준속이 렘보슬루 생계 준속이 튀미속이 땡엘레날루 짜마 또데 세위기 얀 테수미여와친 얀 모마베라 또데 세 쿵케수바친 뒤틀레라 아니 컴플레인 셀다 땡아라다 최수베라 대소니 세슈니 나제 년례가담 현속이 십집에 나테 팀카나 깨렘달루 팀다 티디기베 시시잡렘달루 쇠페 영첩기 익사 딘디 매바친 년례가담기 라베미디 가라 파토이메 세슈니.
The strategy is developed based on in-depth assessment of the achievements and challenges under the first strategy in close consultation with the stakeholders and experts. The first national anti-corruption strategy was launched in 2008. The event was attended by the National Assembly Speaker, ministers, Drangpins, government officials, armed forces and members from the international organizations. Chetendupchu, PBS News.
The Construction Development Board has adopted an alternative dispute resolution for construction-related industry. The out-of-court settlement is adopted in order to relieve the courts from congestion as well as prevent the undue cost and delay of resolutions of disputes.
To promote community involvement in dispute resolutions, 4 alternative ways have been identified. Mediation, arbitration, negotiation and conciliation are the 4 ways any 2 parties having disputes can adapt to resolve the dispute without going to court. It was identified by the Bhutan National Legal Institute in collaboration with the Construction Development Board. The Construction Development Board has so far seen 50 cases of disputes since 2007, of which 26 has been arbitrated.
All the disputes are basically related to construction industry, and the disputes that we get are from the contractors as well as the procuring agencies, and it's most of the time relating to imposition of liquidity damages and not taking into consideration the hindrances at site, the payment of bills, not receiving bills on time.
However, for the Construction Development Board to arbitrate a dispute, both parties should agree for arbitration. The alternative dispute resolution is not only considered faster and cheaper, but also flexible and responsive to the needs of the parties.
When you go to the court, it has got its own procedure. It has said that it is more formalistic, more procedure. You have to base on laws and rules, and also it has got set criteria or procedure that one has to follow. So therefore, when we have alternative resolution, it's up to the parties to agree on procedure that they would like to have in resolving the dispute.
In any case, if either of the party is not satisfied with the resolution passed through arbitration, then the party can take the matter to court. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Works and Human Settlement is providing training to Construction Development Board members and other officials involved in dispute resolution. The training is mainly focusing on enhancing the arbitration and mediation skills of the participants. The Arbitration Act of Bhutan was enacted last year by the Parliament, particularly for foreign direct investment. Sonam, PBS News.
The Prime Minister Tobgay launched the Guaranteed Employment Program. The program is the replacement of unemployment guaranteed scheme which was previously pledged by the government. Hundreds of unemployed youth thronged at the launch of the program.
Direct employment, providing employment skills and overseas employment are the 3 different schemes under the Guaranteed Employment Program. Addressing the youths, Lynchen said there are enough jobs in the market if youths are willing to get employed.
Layo memegi kangil dia di therbari dibodolu layo kate mep mo sewachin ngachi karagi yiksagi labego no wachin tolo bom tobigi labego no wachin timpu dego no wachin shiobbe labego no wachin te layogi kangil yusi shuni la jen benigi noksara mebachin layogi kangil ngomabera yusi shuni 디보달루 다 ngomab에 라 기사토 예사 대체력이 디날루 라요 베니기 녹서 여바진 라바기 라 베니기 녹서 여바진 랑기 시에세다 랑기 쪼룹다 뜀비기 라다 뜀비기 뉘포디 뚝세 뇰런 배워진 라요기 고갑나미 사미 유세슈니.
The Guaranteed Employment Program will focus on economic sectors such as construction, agriculture, hydropower, tourism, ICT, health, education and training, financial services, production and manufacturing, automobile, among others.
망율기 잡절 흉기 호텔에 베니 다른 유포기 잡절디 흉기 호텔에 때 나니 세슈니 제라 게르기 총파수기 조다수기야 때 나온 소달로 남미사미까지 세슈니 흉기 망율 체력이 망율 춥제 마담바 얀 나진 수기 두스야 춥제 마담바 라요 무마베 유미술루 여바친 짜음치 동카텐디기베 켈랑베나 세슈니 다통하기 고도좀 배워진 켈랑베미알라셔도 남미사미까지 세슈니.
Once employed under the program, the government will provide minimum of 7,500 ngultrum and the top-up pay will be borne by the employers. The government will provide the financial support for duration of 2 years. A total of 550 million Nultrum will be allocated from the Economic Stimulus Plan package under the Special Support Scheme. To kickstart with the program, a contract agreement between some employers and the employees was also signed. As per the Ministry of Labour and Human Resources, there are around 4,500 unemployed youths between 15 to 24 years of age in the country today, while another 120,000 job seekers are expected to enter the job market by the end of 11th Five-Year Plan. Therefore, the government will have to create 82,000 jobs to achieve full employment status of 97.5%. Pemotsuki for BBS News.
A spiritual discourse was held in the capital. Women from diverse age and professional background attended the teaching, coordinated by Bhutan Nuns Foundation. The teaching was aimed to provide a platform for the senior nuns to deliver Dharma talks and for the women to make their intentions clear on spiritual values.
Some 60 women attended the spiritual discourse by Ani Triku Chezonghamo. Ani Triku is from Jasher Gempa in Pemagasal and have completed 9 years of spiritual retreat. The discourse mainly evolved on 4 reminders of life, valuing human life, the inevitability of impermanence of human beings, the truth of karma, and the inevitable sufferings of human life. The executive director of Bhutan Nuns Foundation underlined that such forum is also to prevent youth from suicidal thoughts and make them value life.
What we thought that Bhutan Nuns Foundation thought was that this will make an impact for the young youth who are going through peer pressure, who thinks that they are not good enough, and because of that, there is suicidal cases that are coming up, emerging.
From now on, Bhutan Nuns Foundation will coordinate similar teachings on the 21st day of every month. Bhutan Nuns Foundation will invite experienced nuns to deliver spiritual talks. Pemal Hadan, BBS News.
People of Chongekha village in Chuka have been left feeling divided for the past 6 years. This is because while the census is in Gelinggeok, their lands are registered under Phuntsiling Geok. This the villagers feel is not convenient.
In a recent Zongkak Tsogdu, Gelingab Pupdoji said land belonging to 28 households in Chongekha village was registered under Phuntsiling Geok during the delimitation for electoral process. He said it was not convenient for people as they have to visit 2 different Geok administrations to complete formalities while availing loans or permits for timber.
With households dividing their share of land, individuals want to transfer their census record to where their land is. With land being registered under Phuntsiling Geok, people do not want to forego their ancestral home and register in a different Geok.
He added that it would be convenient if the land could be registered back with Geling Geok. To this, the land record officer of Chuka said, Chongekha village is not the only one facing such problem. There are other villages across the country as well. However, he said that it is not necessary for people to have census wherever their land is, and it is also not possible to shift thumbs from one place to another. The Tsogdu chairperson said that since the issue is about delimitation, it is not within their scope to decide on the matter. But it was decided that the issue will be submitted to the parliament. Kampal for Sonam Wangdi, Tanden Funso BBS News.
Despite being preventable, cervical cancer is one of the leading causes of death of women in Bhutan. The National Health Survey 2012 says it is because of limited awareness and late diagnosis. About 25 to 30 women die every year of cervical cancer.
Cervical cancer is a type of cancer that occurs in the cells of the cervix. The human papilloma virus, a sexually transmitted infection, causes most cases of the cervical cancer. Abnormal vaginal bleeding and discharge along with lower abdominal pain are some of the symptoms of cervical cancer. During the early stages of this cancer, women may not experience any symptoms at all. That is why women should have regular pap smear tests. According to the National Health Survey 2012, more than 70% of women aged 20 to 59 years were aware of the pap smear test.
Cervical cancer media ni boom this ni chem this no after routine checkup ba jo jin khongi chang na lo ni cancer thobin chem chago ila ngai charo de doctor this na le de teacher this na ha go ila.
Cervical cancer can be treated if detected early through screening. Early childbirth, smoking and long-term use of contraceptive pills also raises a woman's risk of developing the cervical cancer.
All women between 25 to 65 years old who are or were ever sexually active must have pap smear every 3 years. So till they turn 65 years, they should not stop. And then when the women do pap smear, important thing is that they should collect the reports. So pap smear itself has no value if there is no follow-up.
And when there is no follow-up, most cases develop to cancer. Despite the pap test being available for free, 65% of diagnosed cervical cancer is late for any curative treatment. The National Health Survey cited never heard about it as the most common reason for not doing pap test. The HPV vaccine that is given in the country is one of the preventive measures being taken.
So this vaccine which we give in Bhutan, it's called Gardasil. It protects against cervical cancer, 70% of cervical cancer. People should not be complacent. The girls should not think that, oh, I'm vaccinated and I'll not get cancer. They have to undergo screening like everybody. Vaccine so far has been proved to have a lot of protection against pre-cancers. So we are yet to see the effect on the disease itself, on cervical cancer itself.
So far this year, nearly 30 cases of cervical cancer have been detected. The National Health Survey also reported that more than 50% of women with no education were the ones who underwent the test. Sonam, PBS News.
People in the extended town area in Tashi are complaining of a host of problems. Besides being deprived of their rural benefits, people say that the town rule is not benefiting them.
Tashi town was extended after the democratic elections in 2008. Following a cadastral survey in 2009, Tashi town was categorized into Thomde B category. The area near Beling Higher Secondary School, existing hospital area and Tongchen village are included under the extended town area. Previously, all those places were under Yangtze Giyok administration. Back then, people received construction timber and firewood at rural Kiduk rates. They also do not have to pay the water bill. But now they are not entitled to such benefits since they fall under the town area. Chotan Dendup is one of the residents whose house now falls under the extended town area.
The area below Beling School now falls under the extended town area, so we are not eligible for timber or the permit for house construction. We have to pay an increased electricity bill, and we also have to pay for the water. It is difficult as we have to buy everything and are deprived of all the rural benefits.
Apart from being deprived of their rural benefits, people in the extended town have not been able to construct new houses. Pema Chotin is one of them. After procuring construction materials worth over 500,000 nultram, Pema Chotin is still waiting for the Dzongkhap's approval to construct his house.
There is no problem with the stones, but my timber is getting damaged. Later, when the Dzongkhap gives permission to construct house, where will we get the timbers from? When asked if Dzongkhap will never allow us to construct houses, they say they will. But when?
The Dzongkhap did not allow people to construct houses in the extended town mainly due to delay in preparing the local area plan. A local area plan has to be developed to provide facilities like road network, street lights, water supply, sewerage and drainage system.
The areas that came under the town plan before has no problem. Constructions are allowed in those areas. It's the areas that came under the extended town recently that are faced with problems. The local area plan has to be complete to approve new constructions.
People in the extended town area are also not happy for being deprived of 100 units of free electricity provided by the government. This issue was also discussed in the Dzongkhok Tsokdo.
The new government has given free electricity to the people in rural areas, but because we are now under the town, we have to pay an increased amount.
But Bhutan Power Corporation in Tashiansi said nothing could be done since they fall under the town area. Meanwhile, Tashiansi Zonda said the Dzongkhok has been requesting the Ministry of Works and Human Settlement to speed up the preparation of the local area plan. Zonda Sangyeduba said they are expecting the local area plan to be ready by the end of this year. Until then, people in the extended town area will have to wait to construct their houses. Cheche, PBS News, Kangdong.
Well, that is all we have for you this week. Join us again next week for yet another edition of Bhutan This Week. Until then, this is Sonam saying goodbye.